Joining me now, Lee Zeldin, former New York congressman and gubernatorial candidate, Jason Chaffetz, also former House Oversight Chair, Fox News contributor, as well as Mike Davis, Article 3 Project founder and president. Lee, you're a Jewish American. Is it anti-Semitic now to criticize George Soros's involvement in DA's offices and elections?
No, not at all. And if you know Ron DeSantis, as Jason and I served with him in the House of Representatives, he is someone who has a lot of fantastic relationships with the Jewish community, ties that have only strengthened, and something that has been a high priority for him as governor of Florida. On the merits, George Soros is funding district attorney candidates across the country, including in New York City with Alvin Bragg, who are looking at DA as a term that should stand for defense attorney, not district attorney. Alvin Bragg, on his day one memo, said that he wasn't going to enforce all sorts of crimes across the board, and other offenses he was going to treat as lesser included offenses. We see it with cashless bail and eroded support of law enforcement. It's the agenda. It's the defund the police agenda and all the different prongs of it that George Soros is behind with these DA races across the country, including this year. That's what people are attacking on the merits. Nothing to do with his religion.
Now, Jason, Bragg's office responded to House Republicans in a letter today, writing that you and many of your colleagues have chosen to collaborate with Mr. Trump's efforts to vilify and denigrate the integrity of elected state prosecutors and trial judges. We urge you to let the criminal justice process proceed without unlawful political interference. Now, Jason, as former oversight chair, your reaction to this? I guess you never can say anything about an ongoing judicial process. No comment whatsoever.
Yeah, no, hands off. And of course, that works both ways, right, Laura? It always works that way with the Democrats, Now, come on. Look, I was the chairman of the Oversight Committee. The Oversight Committee was founded in 1814. You can investigate anything at any time. You can do it to inform legislation, look at where federal money is being spent, and you can certainly do it when you believe there might be election interference. So what Congressman Jim Jordan, the chairman of Judiciary, is doing, and Comer and the others, is exactly legitimate. There is no reason why they can't do this. And all these excuses the Democrats will come up with, there's an ongoing investigation, oh, there's a prosecution, or there's all these things. That didn't slow them down on January 6th, did it? It didn't slow anybody down after 9/11, and it should not slow them down in this case. He should come to Congress, he should have to testify, and there should be a paperwork trail between his office, the White House, and any Democratic operatives. That is fair game for Congress, and the American people deserve to know it.
And I have to ask the question of Mike here about the makeup of this office in the New York DA's group. What do we need to know about them as a whole? Because there's a big effort to say, oh, well, you're attacking these brave men and women who are just public servants. You're viciously attacking them. So to that you say?
Well, I think that you have to look at these prosecutors in the Manhattan DA's office for potential bias, including, I understand that they hired someone from the Biden Justice Department to come help Soros-funded Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg run this thing. If you go look at Alvin Bragg's Twitter accounts, his personal Twitter account and his Manhattan DA office Twitter account, they're showing his obvious bias that they're out to get Trump. He ran campaign commercials on this. And to say Congress can't look into this is just silly. Congress has a responsibility under the 14th Amendment, Section 5 of the 14th Amendment, to make sure that we have equal justice and due process in the states of this country. That is clearly a legislative function. Also, federal funds go from the Justice Department to the state of New York and the Manhattan DA's office. And they could also look at it, is there any collusion between the Biden Justice Department and the Manhattan DA? Remember, finally, the Manhattan DA is using a federal election law statute, apparently, as the predicate to bring this bogus New York felony indictment. So this is all within Congress's oversight purview.
Yeah, again, holding back the document itself, so we don't know quite what's in the document. That in and of itself raises a lot of eyebrows. But Lee, I noticed on the cover of front page of today's Wall Street Journal, it presented kind of a chilling image. And the one hand, that the story, Trump indicted over hush money, and then the other story, you see there on the right, talking about the U.S. condemning Russia's arrest of a Wall Street Journal reporter. Of course, we all condemn that. But is there any irony in that, Lee? I mean, putting him, trying to put in jail your chief political opponent, putting in jail a reporter who's writing critical pieces about your administration. Anyone else notice that? Oh,
yeah, absolutely. And in this case, you have an entity. And we're not talking about the Federal Election Commission taking action. We're not talking about the Department of Justice taking action. We're talking about a highly partisan district attorney in the borough of New York County trying to lock up a former president who's also right now in the lead to get the nomination of the Republican Party. As a New Yorker, and I've been an attorney for over 19 years, I'm not even aware, I can't think of any case where a county district attorney in this state has ever prosecuted a federal campaign finance charge at all. And Alvin Bragg said before he even took office that this was going to be his highest priority. He was going to personally be supervising it. He didn't know what the charge was going to be. He didn't know what the facts were, but he said he was going to make sure that this happened. A whole bunch of irony where you should see President Biden, the Biden administration, the Democratic Party speaking out, because last I would say is if the shoe was on the other foot and if this was a Republican district attorney going after a Democratic president, they'd be losing their minds over it.
And Jason, do you think, as I do, that Bragg is hoping he can ride this all the way to the governor's mansion in New York?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think this is a political tool. I think it's actually bait that he's putting out there, hoping that Republicans and so-called MAGA Republicans are going to go out there and overreact and, engage in some sort of violence and whatnot.
Savior.
But no, I think this is purely political.
Yeah, panel, great to see you. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.